Tonight, item 2, presentation from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers regarding the Kennebunk River Jetty repair. Carl, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for meeting. So I am the project manager with the Army Corps of Engineers with New England District, and I'm here to talk about the upcoming work at the Kennebunk River Federal Navigation Project, which includes repairs to the east and west jetties and the east and west wing walls. Also on the phone, you'll see another 978 number. That is Bill Phelan. So he works in our construction office, and he will be one of the folks that's on site during the construction, overseeing whoever the winning bidder is for this work, the contractor. So he's just available for any questions, any construction-related questions at the end of the presentation. So I'm gonna, am I able to share something here? Should be able to.
Yep.
See.
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay. Can everyone see my beautiful blank boring presentation? Okay. So, you know, as most of you are aware, the location, can anyone see my mouse as well? I just want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay, great. So, so we have the project location here. You can see the outline in red. That is the Federal Navigation Project. So this is the entrance channel right here. And just a quick overview. This project has a pretty interesting history. It's one of actually the first navigational ports of entry for the country. I don't know if you all knew that, but no. I thought it was a really cool fact. So it's our oldest federal navigation project, and it dates back to the Adams administration. It was actually constructed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So the stone jetties, they were last repaired in the 1980s, while the wing walls were repaired last in the 1930s. What's that? The wing walls were last repaired in the 1930s. So damages, you know, we have all these winter storms, and given that the last repairs were many years ago, the most recent ones were the storms of March 2018. And there were a series of storms during that month that caused a lot of damage throughout the whole coast of New England. So New England District sent out some technical teams to basically assess damages to our federal navigation projects. And Kennebunk was one of the stops. And the technical team found that indeed all the structures needed repairs. And we were able to request funding through like emergency, it was, what was it? The Supplemental Appropriations for Disaster Relief Act of 2019. So we were luckily a recipient of that funding. And this project is tied to a disaster relief. So we got money for both these repairs of the jetties and the wing walls, as well as the maintenance dredging, which we just conducted back in January. So one of the main things with these disaster reliefs, as you probably are aware, you want to spend the money pretty quickly just to repair things. So we were lucky to get the Currituck out here in January after receiving the funding, maybe in September, October. So anyway, that's just a little overview. So there's 4 areas that we're going to be repairing, and I just wanted to show a really simple map of the areas and just for some terminology. So the east side is on Kennebunkport, and you have the east wing wall here, and then the east jetty, and then the west side is on Kennebunk, and we have the west jetty, and then this area, you know, just adjacent to it is the wing wall. So I'm going to go through each of these areas and just show, you know, where I had some photos. I'll show some photos of the existing conditions, and then I'll explain what we're going to be doing for the repairs. So I'm going to start on the Kennebunkport side. We have the east wing wall, and you can see, you know, some of the damaged areas here where the base of the structure was overtopped and stones are dislodged, and it's creating some instability in the structure, especially when you have cars going over and loading the area. So let's see. This is here just an overview of what will be completed for the work. So what will happen is the contractor will be dismantling pretty much the whole wall. There's some portions that are stable and do not need to be repaired, but they'll be removing portions of it, maybe in like 20 or 30 foot lengths, and then stockpiling the existing stones within the parking lot area, and creating a stable base. So you can see actually on the right is a cross section. So this will be the new, like a new base material, and then we'll also be installing some tow protection. So this was not there before. This will be a new feature, and it will just help when you know, if waves go over the parking lot, things like that. It will just create give some more life to the structure. And you'll see about from your view, you'll see about 5 feet into this intertidal zone, and then the rest of it will be buried. So as they reinstall all the stones, once they're complete with all that, they'll be supplementing and adding some grout and some steel dowels just to create some more stability for the structure. And ultimately, you know, towards the end of the project, you know, we'll obviously be refilling the parking lot back to the existing conditions. And then we'll be placing, we'll have some extra stones from some other work, some of these existing fitted cut stones, and those will be placed as a parking barrier along the whole wall. So that will just hopefully prevent folks from, you know, parking there and creating more loading, because that is instrumental to keeping this the structure intact.
Are we adding height?
We are not adding height, so it will go to the exact same height that it is at now. The only thing that's really that folks might notice as a difference is that they'll have to remove some of this vegetation here in order to do the work. So that will be replaced with just more of the parking lot material. We won't be revegetating that. It currently has the Rosa rugosa, which unless you know, during our environmental coordination they require it, but it's not anticipated we would have to put that back. Any other questions on this site?
So my other question, are you going to be doing work to the wing wall also?
Well, this is the wing wall.
That is the wing. Well, what is it ahead of, up further on the river that looks like it's all stone and stuff?
That's the jetty. So I'm going to go to that one next.
Okay, thanks.
So this site will be constructed from land. So they will be mobilizing in the Colony Beach parking lot and doing all the work from there. And we do have, it's about here. I'll get into the real estate towards the end of the presentation, but the property line is about here, and this is where all the federal property is. So it's such a tight area that unfortunately we can't continue to have cars parked there during construction. Because you will have, as you can imagine, you're going to have all these stones that you have to move out of the way and get back in place, plus having some equipment, you know, moving around. So the next site we have here is this is the East Jetty. So this is the area that you were mentioning. So the wing wall is, you know, in the background there, and then it wraps around, and then this is where it turns into the jetty. So the jetty, It's really hard to capture in some photos, but you can see here, there's definitely some stones missing. This structure, this East Jetty, is kind of more of an archaic design for a jetty, where it's a vertical wall. Typically, as you can see on the West Jetty, they have armor stone in front of it, and it's more of a rounded configuration. And what that does, like the vertical wall is, it really leaves no space for when waves come in for the energy to get dissipated. It basically just bangs into the structure, and that's how you'll see stones getting out of it. So we're very fortunate because we were actually able to get approval to update this design to more current standards, which is it's very difficult to normally do. So we've gotten approval to actually, I'll move over to that actually the next slide. I did want to point out one thing. So we have a nav aid here too. So we've been coordinating with the Coast Guard, and they'll be, prior to the start of construction, they'll remove this, and then when we're complete, they'll come back in and place a new nav aid there. So here's an overview. This is, obviously a plan view looking from above. And if you can see this slim line here, this is the existing face of the structure, that vertical face that I was talking about. So what we'll be doing is we'll be actually cutting back. We'll be removing several, about 20 feet or so of those stacked stones. And that's where some of those extra stones will come for us to put along the Colony Beach parking lot. So we'll be removing some of those and then placing armor stones. Armor stones more, I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it's more of like the rounded stone. Some of these stones are, well, they're going to be between 7 and 11 tons that we're going to be placing there. So just for a general size, it's maybe like 3 to 4 feet in diameter. So they're pretty big stones. And what will happen is that they'll get interlocked with each other and create a stable structure. So it will get interlocked with the existing stones and create just a really better product. And hopefully we do not have to come here for a long time to make repairs. So this is what we would refer more as like the nose or the head of the structure right at the end. And then also along the structure, there's some areas just with missing stones, just, that have just been dislodged over time. And then there's also this area here closest to the parking lot along the beach where there's been some erosion of the beach. So this generally leaves the jetty, this side right here, exposed. So we're going to be placing some stone here as well, just to further protect the jetty. So this construction work will be done by a marine plant. So there'll be a barge, a pretty big barge. It'll likely just be like right off the channel. It might be a little bit into the channel, but there would still be room for boats to go by. So they would be just right on the side of it and with either a crane or an excavator doing these repairs. And then one of the other things is that we need new stone. So the delivery of stone will either occur by water. So there'll be another barge that comes from a quarry somewhere. And we'll place it, we're looking at either like an intertidal area here or on the Kennebunk side for stone just to be temporarily placed. And then the contractor would go back and forth to pick up some of the stones as needed, or they would just leave it on the barge they're working on. The other option is that we would have to get some of the stone delivered by land. So I sent an email. I've been working with the town, just asking for a general route that would be acceptable for something like that. Are there any questions on the East Jetty? And I can definitely answer any questions at the end too. So I'll move over. I don't hear anything.
I have one question, but maybe it'd be a better question for the end. And I'm sorry if I missed it. I had to join a few minutes late.
Oh, that's fine.
But it's a question about looking at erosion rates on the beaches, around the beaches since the jetties have gone in, and whether there's any kind of mitigation efforts. I thought of it, you brought it up, there's an area that's eroded at the base of the jetty with the sand. My understanding is that the longshore transport direction in this part of the state is south to north, or I guess in this case, west to east, which would indicate that, I think, if I have this right, that the sand would be more likely to erode on the Kennebunkport side, moving east or north from the jetties here. So I don't know if there's been any assessment of that or any mitigation effort planned as part of this restoration or renovation.
There has not. This is strictly an operations like O&M project. So any changes would have to actually go through more of a planning process where they look at, they do more of a study looking at the project. But in the section I work in navigation, and it's operations and maintenance. So just repairing existing structures that are authorized to include the channels and the jetties and wing walls and breakwaters, things like that.
Just fixing structures in place, not looking at any potential changes.
Yeah, fixing projects that are authorized already.
The other thing I wanted to ask too, to dovetail on what Charlotte was saying, since the last jetties were put in, the Gooch's Beach area, I don't know if you can forward this to whoever the people are, but that look at these projects, but the Gooch's Beach area, Middle Beach, Mother's Beach, what is the area called Mother's Beach or Kennebunk Beach, and also Great Hill and Strawberry Island area have all been impacted by gradual erosion from, that was alleged to have been caused by these jetties. Are you going to be changing the length of the jetty? Will they be extended out beyond their present length?
So this east jetty will be slightly, it will go out about, I think it's around 10 feet. I can't remember the exact number. It's 10 or between 10 and 15 feet. One other thing, one of the benefits too of the recent dredging project, the Currituck dredging that we just recently conducted, the placement site of all the material was off of Gooch's Beach. So the intent is that that could essentially nourish the beach in some fashion. So we do try to, that's generally the rule of thumb for dredging, is that you typically want to get a beneficial use for the material.
I don't know if you are passing this information back to whoever else might be involved with the project, if they could kind of advise, because like I said, the extent of the erosion was far beyond just Gooch's Beach.
And where is it's? I'm not familiar with where the other beaches are.
Okay.
It would be helpful. Would it be possible to send me? Because I know we have a limited time here.
Okay.
For this, would it be possible to send me an email with just some description?
We can send that to you and identify those two locations for you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to move on over to Kennebunk. So the west wing wall, not the best picture to see it, but this area is bowed out, and essentially what will be, the plan is to remove, let's see, the next image isn't so telling, but what we'll be doing is removing these top two layers of stone about to where he's standing. I think it was about 15 stones length. I think it was around 100 feet. So the top two layers of stone will be removed. They temporarily stockpile them, over onto the beach, and straighten out the base layers there, and then just place the stones back. And one of the things that we noticed when we were out there on the channel side of the wing wall, we did notice a lot of sand there. And the thought is that there's potentially some sand getting leached through the gaps of the structure. So we'll be applying grout between these stones as well as installing steel dowels as required just to create a stable structure. And then once all that is done, see all this stone out here, kind of just like random stone. This will just get pushed against the structure a little bit tighter and just create a little bit more stability. So I think it was easier to see that on the on that image. Any questions on the wing wall?
Looks like they had a recent repair on the front part.
Here?
Yes.
Oh, it's I don't know how recent it's been. That could have been done maybe in the 80s when they did some repairs to the jetty as well. And then actually, before I move on to the jetty, so the wing wall, the construction here will occur from land. I will get into the real estate later, but I can maybe I'll just overview on this one. So so the plan is, we're working with the town. Obviously, this is a popular beach area, and the thought was if we needed access by land, that would only occur between Labor Day and Memorial Day, so the off season. The federal property, I have another slide with that, but it's maybe around here. So the other thought was that if the contractor was able to start working on it earlier in the season, they could offload the equipment from the channel, from the marine plant, onto the land, and then they could start working. So there'd be the proper fencing and things like that to deter the public from accessing a construction area. And then the West Jetty, I don't have a great photo of this one, but there's stone that's missing again from the nose or the head of the structure. And you can see here. So we'll just be installing some new stone, and with that comes, because there's some existing stone there, you have to rework some stones to make sure that everything's interlocked well. Okay, so here is just a summary of everything I talked about. So again, I started here, this is the east wing wall, and we'll be using Colony Beach parking lot for a lot of the staging and construction. And then we'll have a little access area down here onto this intertidal area. And then the East Jetty, again, we'll be doing the nose, expanding that a little, and then adding stone in areas where there's missing stone. And then the west side, we'll be doing the wing wall, just removing stone and putting it back, essentially. And then the jetty will be adding stone.
So when do you plan on starting the Kennebunkport side?
The Kennebunkport side. So our hope is to start in early in the summer. We'd like to start in June. I know it's definitely a popular area. The town has definitely raised concerns, being that folks enjoy this area. We really want to take advantage of the good weather. In addition, we have several requirements for the contractor when they're working in this area, to not only, they have to do surveys, progress surveys, and we have folks that are actually out there doing surveys, walking on the jetty and having to get the toes and the crest of everything. And being out there in the winter is very unsafe. I know we went out there, I think it was in December, and it was just, everything was iced over. It was not ideal conditions. And then because we're also, once you get out of this channel, you have, wave and wind. You're essentially in the open ocean, and causes a lot of delays, once you get into the bad weather. So we are hoping to start in June on the Kennebunkport side.
How long a project is it?
So the overall length of the entire, to complete everything, is 7 months. And once we do have a contractor on board, they would provide us with a schedule. We don't typically tell them like start here, then start there. We usually give them general dates, windows where they can do the work.
So you're saying that we're going to have to close our beach for the summer?
Which beach?
Colony Beach.
Colony Beach.
The beach?
Yes.
That's a problem.
Why can't you start in April? If this is going to be a 7-month project, why are you waiting until June?
We are, so currently, we're working on the, design. It takes several months to get a design completed and get an award.
The problem that we're finding is that you're hitting us right at the height of our summer session. If you started in April, you would have April, May, and June under your belt. And maybe, by July, you might move over to the other side, which isn't going to hurt their beach because it's not part of their beach. And that would open up our beach.
Sorry, I'm not able to see who's talking because I have my screen up. But are
Well,
we
it doesn't
talking,
matter. But point being.
you're on the Kennebunkport side?
Yes.
A good month.
Yep.
That's
It's a
Sheila
good-
Matthews talking. Sheila Matthews Bull.
Okay.
Well, why can't they just start on the other side, on the Kennebunk side, and then?
Yeah, so this is actually, this is federal property here, and I know it's inconvenient, and we'd love to accommodate. It's just a lot of the safety and the duration of how long this is going to take. And in addition to all that, we have a set amount of money, and the more flexibility that we can give a contractor to work in good weather months, the lower our bid gets. So once you get into the winter, you have all sorts of delays.
Well, then why are you not starting in April to avoid that?
We would love to start in April. I think I was starting to get into that. So we're working on the plans and specs. We hope to have those done come early next year. We're working on the environmental coordination. And once we have to wait for environmental coordination to complete before we can reach out to the towns. And I'm hopeful that it can be a quick turnaround. But we would then be requesting temporary easements. So let me just go to the next slide, which shows more of the real estate. So the green areas you can see here, that's federal property, federal lands, both of these green areas. The yellow here, and then this area here is town of Kennebunkport. And then this area here is the town of Kennebunk. And then the area in gray is areas below the mean high water line. So we have navigational servitude. So if we need to repair any of our navigational features, we basically provide notice to landowners, letting them know we'll be on the land. So that's just a distinction of, the property owners and the different real estate actions. Let's see. I might have missed, Can you repeat your question? Did I answer that for you?
No. Why are you waiting until June when you
Okay.
are, most of our projects begin in April because we take advantage of the weather getting better. So in April, May, that would give you 2 months under your belt.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, these
Yeah,
are the.
I
you should
understand. I
continue
understand that. Yes, I understand that. So what I was starting to say was we're working on our plans and specs. We have to get environmental coordination wrapped up,
Right,
which
but
we're
this is
hopeful.
place.
But the thing is, we can't actually put a project out to bid until we have all of our environmental coordination and real estate wrapped up. So it's very possible that we could start sooner. It's just the current schedule is likely showing that we'll have an April award date. So we would award it in April, and then the contractor gets on board. We give him notice to proceed. They start preparing all these submittals, like safety plans, and they have to get inspections of barges and other things. So this is a best guess on
That would've
when
been a
they
good
can
win.
likely get there.
That would have been a good winter project and not a spring project. You see what I'm
You know,
saying?
we've gone through hell this year.
Yeah.
With COVID. And all these businesses and everything else have suffered greatly. And now we're going to suffer again. It's just unrealistic.
Now, Ed had a point. Why can't you start on the Kennebunk side? Because they're not going to lose any of their beach, but we're going to lose our whole beach for the summer if you wait until June.
I mean, they can. Well, the other thing too is that we're limited to access of like land-based access is limited to Labor Day to Memorial Day. So we wouldn't really have much time unless the contractor chose to offload the equipment by the marine plant. So there's no guarantee they'll have that capability.
Access, Coral.
So
what happens if
want
it's
to-
delayed a year?
If it's delayed a year,
Yeah, what happens? What damage?
well, one of the larger concerns is Colony Beach parking lot, that Wingwall. There's definitely safety concerns, especially with vehicles parking right adjacent to it. It just deteriorates the safety of the structure.
Well,
So, I mean,
think what-
again, to kind of tie to the funding that we've received supplemental funding, which we're very fortunate. I mean, it's 100% federal funding to repair damages from a storm. So delaying this a year, I mean, we're going to be back in the same situation in the summer, and it's just going to be worse conditions.
I'll go back to what Alan said.
And the other thing is, if we keep delaying things, I mean, Congress keeps a close eye on things and can question it and take the money back. So,
Well, Alan's got a good point. We lost this year because of COVID for the most part. And now right on top of this, you're saying that we won't be able to use the parking lot, which we get a lot of people coming into town into that parking lot. You're saying we can't use it again right on the heels of COVID. It makes no sense.
I mean, I know that there's, I know limited, but there is some parking along the street, and there is some pathways through
There's
that dune
parking along
area.
the street when we have parking on the beach. I mean, it's like we park everywhere along the street and on the beach. And what you're doing is, look, I know this has to get done. That's not the issue. I'm just saying, I think you need to take a break.
A break.
I think you
Or-
need to delay
or-
it.
Or start
Or
on the,
start it earlier.
Yeah, I would, again, we need to, it's really dependent on how long this environmental coordination process takes, real estate easements. Once we have all that done, we can put it out to bid. But like I said, the current schedule, I'm trying to be conservative, knowing that you don't know how long it's going to take for them. They usually, I think, some of like the water quality cert has, I believe it's 120 days. So really, it's the most realistic schedule that I have come up with. But indeed, if we can get all this stuff through sooner, we would be able to start sooner.
How long have we known we were going to do this?
As soon as we got funding, we have been working on this project. So
And
we haven't had any delays. Unfortunately, there's, it takes time to get designs and all this through. I mean, we definitely want to work with the towns, and I don't know if.
Then
What's that?
what I would suggest is that when you finally get somebody for the project, that you let them know to start on the Kennebunk side as opposed to Kennebunkport, because that would save our beach for the summer.
Well, the thing is the kind of reviewing the work, a bulk of the.
Coral, do you want to just shut off the screen sharing for a minute so we can see each other?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Let me see. Escape.
I just feel like you're talking in a closet by yourself, probably.
Thanks. So sorry. Yeah, a bulk of, so we have the west side. That's where a small amount of the work is. So where at the jetty, there's a small amount of stone that needs to get added. And that won't take that long. But the east side, the Kennebunkport side, is where a bulk of the work is going to be happening.
Well, if you said 7 months, then I got to assume that the west side, the Kennebunk side, is going to take at least a month or two. And if you're starting in June, that gives us a beach for at least June and July, maybe a part of August. Whereas if you start on the Kennebunk side, we lose our beach for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big part of our tourist attraction down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Typically what happens, so when we get a contractor on board, we would then meet with the town. They would come up with a schedule, and then we'd meet with the town to go over the schedule. And it's difficult for us. We cannot, what's the word? We can't dictate means and methods. So we cannot tell them
However, you could suggest.
Anything like the Cape Porpoise dredge, the contractor's gonna come in and tell us this is how they're gonna do it and like it or get out of the way. Because that's what they did in Cape Porpoise. And then they only did half a job and left.
They did only half a job. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. If I was in Congress, I would have opened an investigation into that. But I'm just a selectman. It was an abomination and a waste of $2 million.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, from my eyes, we're going to take what they give us. You know, the federal government's going to come in and do what the federal government does. And there's not much we can do about it. We can ask the contractor nicely, and if they're nice, they might listen to us, but they certainly don't have to. And if they don't want to, they're just going to tell us, get out of the way.
I've always thought, in my profession, I've always thought that the person that's paying the bill is the one that's in charge of the contract.
That's right.
So I've always looked at it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we are running out of time.
Yeah.
In this meeting. So I don't know if there's any other issues that Coral wanted to hit on or any other feedback. I know
Well,
we
it-
have a member of the river committee as well in the attendee if they have any questions.
Well, I mean, I definitely want the town to feel like they, I do want to be able to meet the needs of the community. It's just, it's a difficult time of year, where, I mean, do we delay it I know you were mentioning 4th of July, that's a popular area. Do we, give a little where we say maybe they can't start physically working until right after the 4th of July? I don't know if that gives you guys enough.
No,
It doesn't do anything for you anyway.
that wouldn't help at all. What would help is starting on the Kennebunk side.
Coral, can I interject here as a suggestion or comment about this? I had a question thinking about this. So it sounds like realistically, you won't have everybody in place. If you won't have things in place until June, obviously you could try to expedite at each stage of this, but there's no guarantee that any of that would actually work. And you might not get a contractor. You might get someone as early as May, but it doesn't sound like there's any realistic chance of getting earlier than that. Am I getting that read correctly?
One of the main things, again, it's the environmental coordination. Once we can close out the environmental assessment, then I would reach out to the towns to get the easements for the different areas. And then once we have that is, we were able to go out on the streets and get a bidder.
So is there any of that work that can get done in parallel? Like there's not a way to do get the easements from the town ahead of time, for example? And so you don't have to.
No, I wish.
Okay.
I was trying to do that, but it's really, I don't think it should take too long. Our real estate folks in the district have been working on all the language. So once the EA is finalized, that would get sent out to the town right away.
The Kennebunk Select Board, they have a hard stop. It's at actually 2 minutes ago. So let's.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blake, you want to, thanks, Carl. I appreciate
Yeah,
your
thank
time
you.
and effort. Blake, would you like to go ahead and close your meeting first?
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the Kennebunk meeting.
And is there a second?
I'll
There's a
second.
second, and we're going to forego the roll call. We're just going to show a show of hands who's in favor of adjourning. We stand adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
All right,
Coral, and thank you.
All right. Well, talk soon.
Do I have a
Thank you.
motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call. Sheila?
aye.
Mike?
Aye.
I guess Pat never showed.
He was here.
No, Pat's
Here.
there.
Pat?
He's muted
Oh,
right now.
Okay, he gives us the victory sign, okay. Ed?
Aye.
And Alan says aye. Motion adjourned.